Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. Al Jazeera report. Gunmen kill 30 people in western Ethiopia, witnesses say. Gunmen killed at least 30 civilians in an attack on a village in the Ethiopian region of Oromia, witnesses said on Wednesday, the latest outbreak of ethnic violence to challenge the federal government. Farmer Wasson Andage, 50, said his neighbors were killed during the Tuesday night attack in the West Walega zone of Oromia. He identified the victims as ethnic Amharas. We took the bodies using a car and we buried 30 people, said Wasson told Reuters news agency by phone.
Al Jazeera report. Pentagon to set new transgender policy, ending Trump-era rules. The Pentagon on Wednesday will sweep away Trump-era policies that largely banned transgender people from serving in the military, issuing new rules that pave the way for access to medical care and assistance with gender transition, defense officials told the Associated Press news agency. The new department regulations allow transgender people who meet military standards to enlist and serve openly in their self-identified gender, and they will be able to get medically necessary transition-related care authorized by law, said the officials, who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal decisions not yet made public.
Al Jazeera report. Blinken reaffirms Trump-era ruling that Hong Kong lacks autonomy. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Wednesday reaffirmed a determination made last year by the Trump administration that Hong Kong is no longer autonomous and therefore remains undeserving of special treatment by the United States. In a notice sent to Congress, Blinken said China had continued to dismantle Hong Kong's autonomy since his predecessor, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, first made the determination in May 2020.
CNN report. Alexei Navalny announces he is going on hunger strike. Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny says he is going on a hunger strike to protest against prison officials' refusal to grant him access to proper medical care. In a post shared by his team on his official Instagram page on Wednesday, I have the right to call a doctor and get medications. They give me neither one nor the other. The back pain has moved to the leg. Parts of my right leg and now of my left leg have lost sensitivity. Jokes aside. But this is already annoying. Quote.
Fox report. Derek Chauvin trial. Minneapolis store clerk felt guilt for taking Floyd's counterfeit bill that led to call. Ex-Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin's criminal trial on Wednesday featured testimony from a former convenience store clerk who was handed a counterfeit $20 bill from George Floyd, which ultimately set in motion the man's encounter with law enforcement. Christopher Martin testified Wednesday that he watched Floyd's May 25, 2020, arrest outside Cup's food store with disbelief and guilt. If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided, the 19-year-old Christopher Martin said, joining the burgeoning list of onlookers who have expressed a similar sense of helplessness and lingering guilt over Floyd's death.
Deutsche Welle report. ICC upholds acquittal of Ivory Coast's Gbagbo. Blay Gowd. The International Criminal Court, ICC, upheld its acquittal of former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo and former Youth Minister Charles Blay Gowd on Wednesday on charges of involvement in deadly post-election violence. ICC Judge Chili Ibo Asuji said the appeals chamber decided by a majority to reject the appeal off the prosecutor and confirm the decision of the trial chamber. Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda said that she respected the decision but added, "Our independent and objective investigations in Côte d'Ivoire continue into alleged crimes under the court's jurisdiction," via the ICC Twitter page using the Ivory Coast's official francophone name.
CNN report. Galapagos airport officials find 185 baby tortoises hidden in a suitcase. Airport authorities in the Galapagos Islands seized 185 newborn tortoises that were found wrapped in plastic in a red suitcase. Officials discovered the tortoise hatchlings on Sunday when they X-rayed the suitcase, which was bound for the port city of Guayaquil, Ecuador, according to a statement from the Galapagos Ecological Airport. Galapagos giant tortoises are the largest living tortoises in the world and are only native to the Galapagos Islands, according to the World Wildlife Fund, which lists the giant tortoises as vulnerable.
Fox report. Is Education Secretary Cardona fighting hard enough to reopen schools? The Biden administration's new stance on reopening schools is sparking backlash from parents, doctors and a former education secretary. On Wednesday, when asked about the reopening of schools, Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said it is premature to state whether or not students will be back in classrooms this fall. Cardona was asked about Democratic Gov. Phil Murphy of New Jersey announcing that there will be no remote learning in the Garden State this fall.
CNN report. Virgin Galactic unveils mirror-coated spaceplane known as Spaceship 3. Virgin Galactic, the space tourism firm that hopes to send its first customers to space next year, unveiled a new spacecraft design on Tuesday. The sleek new spaceplane has a reflective coating that the company calls mirror-like, and says will add to space tourists' experience. Flight tests of the new vehicle are expected to begin this summer, the company said in a press release. Visually, the Spaceship 3 closely resembles Spaceship 2, the vehicle that Virgin Galactic, SPCE, has been testing for more than a decade.
BBC report. Skull of dinosaur called, one who causes fear, found in Patagonia. The horned Leucalcon aleocranianus was around 5 meters, 16 feet, long and roamed South America 85 million years ago. Researchers found remains nearby of another carnivorous dinosaur, something they said was highly unusual. The findings from Patagonia were published on Tuesday. Like the Tyrannosaurus rex, the Leucalcon dinosaur was two-legged with very short arms, but was medium-sized compared to the giant T.
BBC report. COVID. France schools to close under third lockdown. Mr. Macron said that schools would move to remote learning from next week. Lockdown measures, introduced in 16 areas of France earlier this month, are also being extended across the country. All non-essential shops are to close from Saturday, and there will be a ban on traveling more than 10 kilometers, 6 miles, from home without good reason. The country is facing a peak of over 5,000 people in intensive care.
Fox report. France to close schools, ban domestic travel as virus surges. French President Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday announced a 3-week nationwide school closure and a month-long domestic travel ban, as the rapid spread of coronavirus infections ramped up pressure on hospitals. In a televised address to the nation, Macron said efforts are needed as the epidemic is accelerating. We're going to close nursery, elementary and high schools for 3 weeks, he said, adding that a nationwide 7p.
Deutsche Welle report. UN concerned over Russian mercenaries in Car. The UN's Human Rights Monitor said on Wednesday that they were concerned over reports of grave human rights abuses by Russian mercenaries in the Central African Republic, CAR. The experts have received, and continue to receive, reports of grave human rights abuses and violations of international humanitarian law, attributable to the private military personnel operating jointly with CAR's armed forces and in some instances UN peacekeepers, said a statement from the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR.
CNN report. Goodbye empty middle seats. Delta is selling the whole plane starting May 1. The empty middle seat on airplanes, one of the few advantages of pandemic, is about to disappear. Delta Airlines, DAL, the last remaining U.S. airline to keep middle seats unbooked, has lifted that prohibition as of May 1, the company announced Wednesday. It is another sign of a rebound in demand for air travel and greater willingness of people to resume pre-pandemic activities. As vaccinations become more widespread, consumer demand and behaviors show us that confidence in travel is on the rise and customers are ready to reclaim their lives, said Delta's statement Wednesday.
Fox report. Wealthy Mexicans jet to U.S. for COVID-19 vaccines. They didn't even ask for my visa. As Mexico struggles to vaccinate its citizens against the coronavirus, some wealthy Mexicans are traveling to the U.S. to get their shots. According to reports, of Mexico's 128 million citizens, just 4% have received at least one dose of the vaccine as of Wednesday, the Los Angeles Times reported. It said that healthcare experts believe the nation's mission of inoculating at least 2/3 of the population by August is unrealistic and will continue into next year.
Deutsche Welle report. Coronavirus. Austria eyes Russian Sputnik V doses. Austria said on Wednesday that it would look to order 1 million doses of the Russian Sputnik V jab. Chancellor Sebastian Kurz said that his government would look to try and make up some of the shortfall by snapping up the Russian vaccine. "We are in the final meters and a Sputnik order can probably be placed next week," he said. Kurz said Russia would be able to ensure very prompt delivery, and send the ordered doses by June.
BBC report. Swiss hostage in Mali. Remains of missionary identified. Beatrice Stockley was a Christian missionary in Timbuktu when she was kidnapped by jihadists in 2016. A fellow hostage released last year had said Ms. Stockley had been killed by her al-Qaeda-linked captors. A body recently handed over to Mali's authorities has been confirmed as hers using DNA. Ms. Stockley had been briefly held by Islamist militants once before in 2012. Malian and international armed forces have been struggling to contain a jihadist insurgency in the north of the country that first emerged in 2012.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.